Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today, the Season 3 Reloaded update is out for Warzone and Modern Warfare 3. Now, this is a full-on title update, the 1.43 update, meaning everyone is going to have to go through, download this before you can play, so just take that into consideration. But with this, we also have a ton of patch notes to go through for both multiplayer and Warzone and also zombies. So that said, we've got our Wednesday, May 1st updates, and initially here on the multiplayer side of things, we got a couple of new maps, Grime, and then also Checkpoint for multiplayer. So two new 6v6 maps. Checkpoint is sort of like a reimagined version of Stronghold, which is actually kind of interesting, from Rebirth Island. We also have a new weapon with the Bal 27, obviously from Advanced Warfare. Some new aftermarket parts with the Wardens, which is the Model 1887s from MW3, the Jack Patriot, a fully auto M16, the Atlas kit, a 5-round burst AMR9, a couple of new modes with Escort, which is kind of like Safeguard from Black Ops 3, Minefield, which drops an explosive mine every time you kill an enemy, so that's going to be just explosions 24/7. Then also Arcade, which has like various game modifiers and pickup things you can grab across the map. New events: in addition to limited time double XP and ongoing Vortex virus mainframe events, the Call of Duty Endowment has a 2-week event on the horizon, so we've got that coming up in the future. For global updates with customization, they resolved an issue preventing the Wilson streak from running over enemies while the Fire Breather skin was equipped. Slash damage tracers on the Dynamite blueprint will now consistently play, and they improved visual effects when removing the barrel on the Viral Ignition blueprint. Now this is interesting, and I was not expecting this. Progression. Introducing weapon prestige camos. New camos for like everything, I guess. In Season 3 Reloaded, we're introducing weapon prestige camos, a new progression system for players to flex mastery of their favorite weaponry in MW3. To unlock a weapon prestige camo, players must earn a set amount of weapon XP for any weapon of your choice, including those carried over from MW2. Weapon prestige camos are earned on a per weapon basis, rewarding commitment and giving those of you completionists a grind to keep you busy for seasons to come. Our debut weapon prestige camo is One Trick. Unlocked upon earning 150,000 weapon XP, this camo coats the entire surface of your weapon in molten gold, and yes, it's animated. You can expect to see a new weapon prestige camo in each of the remaining seasons ahead. We look forward to seeing which of those you choose fit. That's actually really cool. So sort of similar to like Obsidian back from MW 2019, just a nice added thing. Now you can now grind in multiplayer or Warzone or even zombies if you want, so just something extra to do to keep players coming back. I'm a big fan of that. For the multiplayer specific updates here for UI and UX, increase the number of allotted favorite attachments from 10 to 30, thank goodness. Weekly challenges that reward an aftermarket part will now display the base weapon in the information model. Added locked and unlocked filter options for calling cards. For bug fixes, unlocked calling cards that require challenge completion once again indicate the correct criteria. Resolved an issue causing the customization menu to not appear properly on ultra-wide displays. Addressed an exploit allowing multiple attachments to be equipped to a single slot, so this is that extra attachment glitch that's been going on the past couple of days. Quick equip option in bundles is once again available on keyboard and mouse. Pros and cons are no longer hidden when viewing locked attachments. Prompt to perform a finishing move on enemy operators is now visible with the Juggernaut. Weapon ammo can no longer disappear after performing a finishing move on a recon Juggernaut, and then bomb drone kill cams are no longer displaying overlapped effects. For gameplay and hardpoint, they increased the preference for spawns further from enemies and nearer to spawn points, recently used by a teammate. Bug fixes: weapons with charged fire ability now function properly with the manual fire behavior, and swapping from tac stance to ADS no longer cause a jarring recoil animation. For progression, they resolved an issue preventing the DG58 micro barrel attachment that was like a daily armory unlock that was bugged for everyone. Kills without reloading challenges no longer continue to track between matches, and the DM56 priceless camo description once again matches the correct challenge required for it. For maps, they made a couple of spawn updates and additional hardpoint updates, specifically on 6-star here. Emergency had some spawn updates. Grow House had some environmental areas updated where there were some visual glitches. Invasion had some spawn updates. Karachi had some spawn updates. For modes, an infected limited time holiday variant of the mode will no longer be used, and then one in the chamber radar pings are no longer active until 3 players are left. Now we get into the multiplayer side of things for weapon updates. Keep in mind Warzone may have some different values that we'll get to here in just a moment. So the BP50, they increased the hipfire spread, and the minimum and maximum values of that were both increased the moving hipfire spread as well. Same deal with the SVA 545. Ram 7, they increased the minimum hipfire spread. MTZ, they increased all of it. Holger, they increased all of it. MCW increased the hipfire spread minimum, and then the moving hipfire spread maximum. DG56 increased the hipfire moving spread, added a medium damage range. It's a 29 damage at 38 meters, decreased the minimum damage a tad bit as well. On the FR556, they decreased the sprint to fire time, the ADS time, they increased the ADS movement speed, and they increased the velocity, so the FR556 gets some decent updates there. They also adjusted some of the specific attachments here. The long bore, they decreased some of the penalties across the board. The 435 barrel, also same deal there. They adjusted the mini bore barrel. If you want the exact specifics for all of these attachments, they seem to basically be going through and adjusting the pros and cons for all of these. The mini bore barrel, the sprinter stock, the recon pad stock, the anchor comb, the ton 618 comb, the giga comb, the rear grip, the 45 round mag, and the 60 round mag, basically decreasing some of the penalties associated with those. Many FR556 attachments have been reworked to increase their appeal and overall viability of the weapon. The Lockman 762 from MW3, they increased the max damage range a decent amount. That's actually really solid, up to 30 meters now. Increased the near to medium damage range and increased the medium damage range as well. So buffs all around to the Lockman 762. The M13C also got some updates, increased the maximum damage range. That's solid. Increased the near to medium damage, increased the near to medium damage range, increased leg and foot damage multipliers. M13C gets buffs all across the board. On the SOA Subverter, added a near to medium damage range. It's a 33 damage at 38 meters. Decreased the minimum damage down a decent amount for long range. The SOA Subverter is now a 6-shot kill within the minimum damage range. So long range, it'll take 6 shots. That's a decent nerf for multiplayer. MTZ 762, they decreased the ADS time, and then also on the Jack Thunder kit, they decreased that ADS time. On the FTAC Recon in semi-auto, increased the minimum damage even more for long range. That thing's TTK is going to be crazy. Within its maximum damage range, the FTAC Recon is now a guaranteed 3-shot kill or 2 shots to the head. Full auto increased the upper torso, arm, and hand multipliers. Within its near to medium damage range, the FTAC Recon full auto 3-shot kill with 1 to the head and 2 to the upper torso. SO14 in semi-auto, they increased the maximum damage, the near to medium damage, the medium damage, and the minimum damage. Within its maximum damage range, the SO14 is now a consistent 3-shot kill. In full auto, they decreased the sprint to fire and the ADS times, but also the torso, arm, hand, leg, and foot multipliers as well. For SMGs here, Ram 9 increased the horizontal control and the vertical control, so going to be harder to use the Ram 9 now. They also decreased the maximum damage range by about a meter. AMR 9 increased the near to medium damage, increased the medium damage, the minimum damage, increased lower arm and hand multipliers. So the AMR 9 gets buffed back up again for multiplayer. Interesting changes there. HRM 9, they increased the medium damage range, so that's now even better in multiplayer. Wasp 9 decreased the sprint to fire a ton. That's a huge difference there. Swarm decreased the maximum damage range a little bit. For shotguns, the KV Broadside Jawbreaker removed the ADS spread, decreased the hipfire spread penalty, and muzzle attachments can now be equipped on that. On the Riveter, they decreased the ADS spread by 10%, so decreased spread while aiming down sights allows for a more consistent 3-shot kill, basically. 410 gauge ball ammo increased the ADS spread, the maximum damage, the near to medium damage, the medium damage, and the minimum damage as well. For LMGs, the DG58, they decreased the horizontal control and the vertical, so that's easier to use now. Increased the long range damage, and then increased the torso, arm, and hand multipliers. DG58's better now. The Eradicator decreased the sprint to fire and the ADS time, so it's a tad bit more aggressive. Holger 26 increased the neck multiplier. The Interceptor decreased the maximum damage range by about 8 meters. On the Moors, they increased the ADS time just a little bit there by about 20 milliseconds. Decreased the lower leg and foot multipliers as well. And then on the anti-material slug ammo, increased the velocity penalty, so that's going to have worse velocity when you're using that now. For the handguns, it looks like they increased the movement speed across the board. Core 45, Renetti, Tier, Stinger, P890, 50 GS. The X12, they also increased the sprint speed. Basilisk increased movement speed. Same deal with the F-Tac Siege and the GS Magna. The Daemon increased movement speed, but also on the Akimbo rear grip, they removed the 10% movement speed penalty. They decreased the hipfire spread, removed the 26% damage penalty, and then also increased the multipliers for that as well. So that gets a slight buff. The Gladiator decreased the standing lunge distance, so it's going to be the same as the combat knife now too. For perks now in multiplayer, Climbing Boots removed this perk and applied its effects to players by default. So that's going to reduce fall damage across the board. That's really interesting. All-terrain boots added a new perk to the boots category, replacing the Climbing Boots. Significantly increased movement speed. Disables tack sprint. Okay. Running sneakers improved the sprint to fire time. Stalker boots increased the strafe, added walking smoothness benefit, decreases the bounciness of the reticle when ADSing. Commando gloves improved the sprint to fire speed, added the ability to cancel a reload by using tack sprint. That's cool. Assault gloves improved the hip fire spread. For equipment, the EMD grenade tracking devices are now destroyed by an EMP and DDoS effect. Decrease the tracking duration as well. Field upgrades the trophy system, decrease the total number of shots fired from 3 to 2. We then get into the zombies patch notes here. We do have a new story mission alongside a new Dark Ether Rift as well. There's new schematics and acquisitions. As we know with Deadwire detonators, that's electrifying your equipment basically. Golden Mask constantly replenishes. The Sergeant's Beret hides you from enemy mercs. There's also the new Rainmaker Warlord down by the Manor POI, and he's going to have all sorts of explosives. The storage stash has been increased up to 20. And then also exfil cooldown. When players successfully exfil, then I'll also receive a schematic cooldown in addition to their insured weapon cooldown. For patch notes here, addressed an issue that would knock back containment levels. That's great to see because that's a huge bug. Addressed an issue that prevented equipping lethals and tacticals, and that saving when traveling to a Dark Ether Rift. For zombies on the Hellhounds, friendly Hellhounds acquired from a doghouse in the medium and high threat zones no longer reset their tier. For customization, the Moors Situation Hazard Black Cell, they address an issue with the dismemberment effects. Players can now interact with the containment level UI on the Strike Team Ready menu. The containment level splash screen when a player exfils is now correctly displaying their containment level. And they also added in various crash and stability fixes. Now, let's jump over to Warzone. So we've got our May 1st patch notes here as well. Quick reminder as we go through all of these. If you are new to the channel or you simply have not subscribed yet, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. The latest info in COD is here on a daily basis, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. It's always really appreciated. But for customization here, they resolved an issue preventing the Wilson from running over enemies. Splash damage tracers on the Dino blueprint will consistently play. They also updated the viral ignition blueprint. The prestige camos are also here in Warzone as well as multiplayer, so you can do this all in any mode. On Urzikstan, they added in the bunkers but kept it redacted, so there's some secrets to discover there. Rebirth Island loaded resurgence, similar to Plunder. This allows you to drop in with all of your weapons equipped. Also non-stop action with moving circles like High Trip. Lockdown on Rebirth Island is also going to be happening. It's just like Lockdown on Vondel. Our playlist for this upcoming week is Loaded Resurgence Trios, Ranked Play on Rebirth, of course, Plunder Quads on Urzikstan, Battle Royale Solos, Duos, Trios, and Quads, Resurgence Solos and Duos on map rotation, but then Standard Quads on Rebirth. Now, general updates here. Resurgence Champions Quest. Resurgence fans may now experience the Ultimate Resurgence Challenge on 2 maps, Fortune's Keep and Vondel. Cosmetic rewards are shared there. Rebirth Island audio improvements have been made to the audio occlusion. Audio levels have been made, adjustments have been made for the Ascenders, Parachutes, and enemy footsteps. That's great to hear there. Unintended. Ascender audio improvements. Enemies and allies using Ascenders will now make 2 distinct sounds. Interrogation, increased audible distance and volume of interrogation, and revive sounds. New updates. Heavy armor public event increases your armor health by 50. That's going to be like a one-off random event in different games. Not going to be a consistent thing every match though. The weapon trade station is going to be returning, so you can trade in weapons for different loot depending on what it is. Your best option is a legendary or ultra weapon that can drop you an epic kill streak, self-revive, cash, a rare weapon, and extra ammo, then also equipment. The utility box is coming. That's armor and ammo in one box. So that's great to see. Foresight as a kill streak. We know where it shows every single zone is coming to Rebirth. Specialist is returning as well. Players who find Specialist receive every perk simultaneously. It can be acquired via Redacted. The weapon trade station, I think, has something to do with that as well. There's also a Redacted upgrade. With the arrival of new excellent gear, Kony has updated Redacted to make good use of them. Maybe something that has to do with the bioscan, since that's a huge thing this season. Variable time of day. Although most matches will remain sunny, Rebirth Island can now be experienced at sunset, overcast, and foggy. Similar to Vondel, the time of day may change during one specific match, so keep an eye on the smart displays. Adjusted features, ascender improvements, minor adjustments to the use range and angles for ascenders. This change primarily helps with circumstances where ascenders and elevators would not provide a good prompt. Elevator ascenders at elevator locations will now be easier to interact with. That's the same patch note twice. The high stakes public event now gives a utility box instead of ammo and armor. The medicine cabinet will now drop 1 stim down from 2. The spy drone contract, they made some adjustments with that. Bioscanners reduced the animation time there. Urzikstan boot camp, the following items have been removed: the PDS, the loadout drop, and the loadout chests. For weapons, we of course have the Battle 27, our new aftermarket parts, and then we get into our weapon updates for Warzone. Now, seems like this is going to be relatively similar to multiplayer. BP50, they adjusted the hipfire spread, same deal with the SVA. The RAM, the max damage has been nerfed even more. The RAM's just not going to be worth using whatsoever. The near to medium damage was also nerfed. Near to medium damage range was nerfed. Mid damage was nerfed. Increased the hipfire spread minimum. So the RAM definitely got some nerfs there. MTZ, hipfire spread updates there. Same deal with the Holger. MCW, mid damage buffed. Minimum damage buff, so that's its long range. Max damage range was also increased. Hipfire changes were applied there too, so the MCW gets some nice damage updates for the mid to long range. The FR556 saw these similar updates to multiplayer. They increased the ADS strafe, increased the velocity, upper torso and arm modifiers were also updated, and then they made all the attachments better basically. Here, same deal as over in multiplayer. The M13B close range damage got buffed by 1, although it's mainly a mid to long range gun. Headshot multiplier was nerfed, upper torso was buffed, arm and hand modifiers were buffed. The Tempest Razorback near to mid damage was actually buffed a decent amount. That'll be solid for sniper support. The minimum damage was also buffed though, so that could be even good for long range as well. The Advancer near to mid damage buffed. That's even better for sniper support. Mid damage and minimum damage also buffed, so mid to long range becomes even better too. For battle rifles, the Subverter, minimum damage, so its long range damage nerfed by 3. Max damage range was also decreased, so its close range is worse a little bit, but overall its TCK in the long range is going to be worse now, so that's a decent update there. MTZ-762, they decreased the ADS time on the base weapon and then also on the Thunder Kit. SO14 full auto decreased the sprint to fire and the ADS time. For SMGs, the HRM9, max damage was nerfed, so its close range damage is worse now. Its near to medium damage was also nerfed. Mid damage was nerfed. Max damage range was also decreased. HMR9 gets some decent nerfs there that should drop this down and really bump up some potential other options. The Ram 9's recoil was actually increased, so that's going to have more recoil now. The Rival 9's close range damage was buffed and its close range was buffed. Lower arm and hand modifiers were buffed, lower torso modifiers buffed, so the Rival is going to be better across the board now. Wasp 9 sprint to fire way down, so that's going to be more aggressive. Base Striker, mid damage was actually buffed a lot for its minimum, so long range damage there. Mid damage range was also increased too, so the Striker over range just got a little bit better. For shotguns, KV Broadside on the Jawbreaker, they removed the ADS spread. Riveter decreased the ADS spread as well, but they increased it on the ball ammo. For LMGs, DG upper torso modifier buff, hand and arm modifier buff, lower torso modifier buff. The Bruin, the max damage, close range damage was nerfed. Interesting there. Leg modifiers nerfed, lower torso modifiers nerfed as well, so some slight nerfs to the Bruin. The Eradicator decreased the ADS and the sprint to fire. For snipers on the Stalker, they decreased the velocity by a decent amount there, so that'll be a little bit worse now. They also decreased the velocity on the Cat. On the Moors, they increased the ADS time, decreased the velocity by 60, and then the Slug ammo has worse velocity penalty too, so they're making sniping a little bit more difficult with the one-shots. And then we've got the pistols again, where they increased the movement pretty much across the board. On the Stinger, they also buffed its upper torso modifier, more movement buffs. The 50GS got a sprint speed buff. X12 increased both the sprint speed and the general movement speed. The Damon Akimbo gets buffed there, then also the movement speed buff too. For loadouts on Fortunes Keep, the Bunker Buster, they adjusted this with the timing and the explosive damage radius there. For ranked play restrictions, updated menu to provide additional clarity. Champions Quest, we've added a prompt to notify players who attempt to leave a match when a champion's quest is active. Bunker Buster minimap improvements, they made that a little bit more clear. End of match flow, after a match ends, players will be returned to the selected playlist mode rather than the playlist select menu. Perk descriptions, additional info has been updated there. We also got a couple of bug fixes, fixed several occlusion issues, fixed an issue that prevented UAVs and counter UAVs from being used in a passenger seat, fixed an issue making it difficult to use a ladder at Lighthouse on Rebirth, fixed an issue causing floating foliage around Rebirth, an issue that caused the in-game stats to show incorrect at the end of the match, an issue preventing players from respawning in Resurgence when they rejoin a match in progress, and an issue causing players to get stuck when queuing for boot camp. And that being said, those are all of the new patch notes for Season 3 Reloaded. That's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you later. Peace out.